I felt like this all started with discs not having the entire games on them and you had to download the rest of it online. That was like, what, 15 years ago now? 10 years ago? Now we're in a completely different era, defining the rest of gaming, I guess. Yo, this is ZeroEchoZenith. Let's talk about what is probably the most important gaming news out there. This is off of Tom's Hardware. Sony officially kills the PlayStation disc, ending physical game production in 2028, shutting down the PlayStation Store and the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita systems. Yeah, so it's a double whammy. They are stopping production, and they are closing the shops of the PlayStation 3 and Vita. This is basically Sony's version of Nintendo closing the shop of the Wii U and 3DS. This announcement essentially sounds the death knell for physical media in cutting-edge gaming. Yep. Yeah, I love physical media, but unfortunately, this is the end. You might think, well, what about Microsoft? Do you think they could make a comeback? Xbox's next-gen hardware, Project Helix, is not expected to include a disk drive. Everybody is going fully digital, chat. And at any moment, they could probably bar you from downloading what you've actually purchased. Because as we all know, you're not actually purchasing things to own them, you're only renting a license to play the games. Let's just get into it. Well, it's official. Sony has just announced that it will stop production of PlayStation game discs starting in January 2028. No more game discs will be produced, and games will only be available through the PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital format only. So you know a lot of circulation of news of people being like, oh yeah, I bought the box of the game, but the game wasn't in it, it was just a download code. Well, now that's just going to be the norm. From here on out, it's over. It's a move that anyone could have guessed was coming, but which is nonetheless frustrating to many fans, as it essentially rings the death knell for physical media and cutting-edge gaming. I say anyone could have guessed, because you'd have to have your head in the sand to ignore all the factors pointing this way. Yeah, so the biggest thing being this. Hey, what is it? This is a disc drive for the PlayStation 5, because they announced the digital edition of their console. There's no disc drive. 100%, you have to download everything off the internet. And then it's like, oh, that's okay. We'll just allow you to purchase a disc drive for 80 bucks. Oh, but it is cheaper. Technically, this is the Slim. Oh yeah, 550 bucks. Here's the PlayStation Pro, the PlayStation 5 Pro. Notice something that it doesn't have? You would have to shell out an additional 90 or 80 bucks on top of 800 and, well, this is after the price hike too. 850 on top of 80 in order to play your game discs. That's 930 bucks to be able to play your physical media. This is the reality that we live in. The biggest of such factors is arguably the reality that Blu-ray drive production has sharply wound down outside of gaming consoles. Oh yeah, because of streaming services replacing physical media for like movies and TV shows. Unless like your movies that you downloaded, their contracts ended, and so Sony just will be taking away all of the movies that you purchased. What makes you think your digital games are safe? Once again, Studio Canal is pulling movie licenses, purchases to be outright erased from libraries. It's the same thing that happened in 2022, I remember that, and during the Funimation Crunchyroll merger. Oh yeah, I remember that as well. This is great. Digital is rental, it really is. I like Does It Play. Does It Play is a really cool person. You should go check them out. Play has no limits, except when we limit your play. But there's also the fact that the vast majority of games purchased today are already purchased digitally. In Q4 2025, the fourth quarter, financial quarter, 85% of PlayStation games were purchased digitally. And if you zoom out to look at the entire US video game market, the PC and mobile markets are already effectively 100% digital. Okay, mobile is... There's a lot wrong with this! Mobile is already digital. There is no, oh yeah, let me just hook up my disc attachment to my phone. It doesn't exist. 85% of PlayStation games were purchased digitally. Well, were they available in a physical format? Or was it if you purchase digitally, you unlock 5 days early access to the game. There's already incentives to just go to digital anyways. Play it early. Or people just don't care. This whole thing is curated to push towards a digital-only market. That's what Sony's talking about when it says it's making the change in response to shifting trends in consumer preference. Okay, still the majority isn't everyone, and there are absolutely die-hard gamers out there who demand physical copies because a digital license isn't ownership. I don't even think it's die-hard gamers. I think a lot of it is just regular people. People like to hold a physical object in their hands. People like to imagine that they do own something, that they can put their name towards something. All you need to look at to understand this stark reality is the incident just 3 days ago where PlayStation announced that it is removing over 500 movies from consumers' accounts, or customers' accounts in the UK and Europe because of an expired license agreement. Yup. Defenders of the move will point to the aforementioned 100% digital nature of PC gaming as a counterpoint against the pushback to the death of physical media. Here's the thing. Physical media doesn't necessarily have to be on a video game disc. You know what this is? This is a USB flash drive. I've seen indie games from like third-party retailers advertise, hey, this is a premium edition of our indie game. We hope that you enjoy all of the cool little knickknacks and gifts part of this package, including the game on a USB stick. This is also physical media. You get the idea. But there's a key difference, and that's that PC gaming is done on PCs, opening up tools like backups and private servers for game preservation. Oh, but guess what? Private servers are illegal. This is possible on consoles too, of course, but it's a lot more work. True. In January 2028, when the move takes effect, the PlayStation 5 will have just passed its 7th birthday. Obviously, the PlayStation 6 will have either just launched or be on the horizon, depending on whose leaks you believe. Those same leaks have claimed that the PlayStation 6 would have the option for a detachable or optional disk drive, and that might still be true, but if so, it would exist exclusively for backwards compatibility reasons. If that ends up being the case, we will have to applaud Sony for taking care of its customers that way. It would have been just as easy to leave the PS4 and PS5 owners with large physical libraries in the lurch, with no way to play their old games on the new machine. Of course, if those rumors of an optional disk drive turn out to be false, leaving players in the lurch is exactly what Sony will be doing. However, it is darkly ironic that Sony announced this news in the very same tweet where it announced that it's also shutting down the PlayStation Store on the PlayStation 3 and PS Vita systems. After the first attempt at this was walked back in 2021 after community outcry, I remember that, the company has then decided after 5 years that it has to cut off support because the old storefronts supposedly can't be updated to support modern commerce systems, including contemporary global payment processing security standards. There's no technical reason that's true, of course. The reality is simply that Sony doesn't want to continue supporting these nearly 20-year-old machines anymore, and thus ending the legacy of their entire libraries? I mean, there have been some games coming out that were originally on the PlayStation 3 and maybe the Vita. The rest of the Vita library is gone forever, unless re-releases happen. Metal Gear Solid 4 is being rescued from the PlayStation 3, but that's about it. Sony is sleeping on so many IPs from the Vita and PlayStation 3 era, you have no idea. And the PS2 era. That's wholly understandable, but at the same time, it really does provide the perfect backdrop for the death of discs, as later PlayStation consoles can't simply play PS3 games, neither disc nor digital. That means that, when the PlayStation Store for PS3 finally dies in July 2027, there will be no official way to acquire and play those games. Besides used discs, of course. Yeah, besides used discs, there is no possible way to be able to play those older games. As for PlayStation 6, that stands to be one of the first consoles to never have a used game market, a monumentous end of an era. Let's read some comments. So you have some people actually mocking the decision. The Domino's people, which they also mocked the game, God of War Lo-Fi, that was coming out too. Domino's has made a statement mocking PlayStation's plans to move their games all from discs to digital. Domino's UK will cease production of physical pizzas and shift to production of digital pizzas only. Domino's UK cares more about gaming than some of these gaming brands. There is someone here that is like, oh, I owe you an apology because this was probably the best case scenario because you can still, you still give the game to someone instead of having to only download the game. You can't transfer the license over. But still, I'm not a fan of this. I respectfully disagree. Now more than ever, you should push for full game on cartridge, not this game keycard nonsense. Don't be a pushover. So GOG has also weighed in on the decision from Sony. GOG shared a clear statement on digital ownership after Sony announced the end of physical discs. They said that even if a game vanishes from the GOG storefront, it never leaves your library. This is how purchased games should work. Even if a game vanishes, it never yep. Exactly as digital ownership ought to be. True! I could never hate you, GOG. GOG provides full offline installers. They do. No DRM, no online check, no limited installs. It is a superior platform for buying games. Yeah, so, Dead Space. Yeah, one of the Dead Space games, or maybe all of them, you can only install the game a limited amount of times before it locks you out because you're using EA's proprietary installation software or whatever. That's horrible. No game should have a limited amount of installations. GOG may not provide physical media. They provide offline installers. Close enough for me. Yep, that's why GOG is the GOAT. They are the GOAT! So, I'll leave you with this. Generational console slander just dropped. Notice which console doesn't have games here? The PlayStation 5. However, with the Project Helix news, please stop releasing news. I can't crop this meme anymore. Yeah, get rid of Xbox. There you go. It's just, that's it. However, with the way how Nintendo is going, notice no games? Would you rather have unlimited bacon, but no more video games? Or games? Unlimited games, but no more games? Chat, everything is screwed up. I don't know what to do. We're here. This is it. This is the finale. Physical media is probably gonna be gone in 2.5, 3 years. So, bye-bye. Focus on trying to make a black box of games that you can put on there, like offline installers with GOG. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. This is ZeroEchoZenith signing off. I don't know where the games industry is going, but we're not done with the ride yet. Take care.